Whenever we move, rotate, or scale our objects, it's all happening in a particular order. You can see that if we move our cube here along the x-axis, and then we rotate it quite a bit, I'll rotate it along the x-axis as well, somewhere around 90 degrees. But now look what happens if I scale it along the x-axis. Okay, so far that's as expected. Now let's also scale it along the z-axis. Well, it looks like it's actually scaling along the y-axis and not the z-axis. And that's because the rotation is calculated first before the scaling. So according to our object here, the z-axis is actually pointing that way. We can see this visualized if we switch to our move tool. Right now we have the z-axis pointing up, the x-axis pointing in the x direction, and the y-axis pointing in the y direction of the world as expected. But we can also switch the orientation of the move tool to be aligned with the object instead of the world. To do that, go up to the top here where it says global and it shows some axes. Use the drop down and switch that from global to local. Now we can see our cube's local z-axis is pointing forwards and its local y-axis is pointing up. Now what our scale is doing makes total sense. You can think of the global axes or the global orientation as the absolute north, south, east, and west of our world. Whereas our local orientation is more like the right and left, top and bottom in relation to the object. I often like to work using the local orientation because it's very easy to then move my objects forward or backwards or up or down, regardless of how they're rotated in 3D space. If you don't want to use this menu up here at the top, you can also use the comma key on your keyboard. That'll pop up a pie menu, and you can switch between global on the left or local on the right. The rest of these we'll talk a little bit more about in the fundamentals of modeling, but I'll go ahead and keep this at local for now. One thing that'll become really helpful to know as you continue working with your objects is how to apply your rotation, your location, or your scale. In a previous lesson, we learned how to clear these things by going to either Object and Clear, Location, Rotation, or Scale. For example, if we clear the location, it'll just set this back to 0, 0, 0. Or if we clear the scale, let's go to Object, Clear, and Scale. It'll shrink our box back. I'll hit Control Z and undo that. And again, we can also just use the hotkey Alt S for undoing the scale, Alt R for clearing the rotation, or Alt G for clearing the location. But we can also apply these things as well, such that it looks visually the same, but our rotation is set back to 0, 0, 0, and our scale is set back to 1, 1, 1. Let's rotate this a little bit more to make it more obvious. Let's go somewhere around 40 degrees. And then if I want to apply my rotation, or as it's known in other softwares, to freeze my rotation, I can go to Object, Apply, and Rotation. Now my z-axis has snapped back up, and my y-axis is pointing forwards and backwards according to the world again. And my rotation in the Properties editor is set back to 0, 0, 0. We can do the same thing with the scale. Object, Apply, and Scale. Now it looks like nothing's changed, but it's been set back to 1, 1, 1. Let me show you an example of where this might be helpful. I'll go ahead and delete our cube here, and hit Shift-A, Mesh, and Monkey. And let's say we want to set this directly on the ground. Well, if we pull it up along the z-axis, then you can see that it's not really going to rest here very easily. So I'm going to hit 3 and go to Side View, use my R hotkey to rotate, and then set this on the ground. So that works great, but if I want to move this along the ground, then it would be pretty difficult using these axes. Now, admittedly, this is kind of a trivial example because we could always switch to our global axes and move it that way. But the concept of applying rotation and applying scale is going to become super important when it comes to modeling. So I want to at least introduce the concept now since we're already talking about transformations. So what I would want to do at this point is to apply my rotation. I can go to Object, Apply, and Rotation, or I could just hit Control A. Control A to bring up that same menu and choose Rotation. Now I can really easily move this along the ground by choosing this blue square and moving it along the Z plane, or any direction except the Z axis. Now, similar to the real world where all movement has a reference point, so do all of our objects in Blender. By default, the reference point for any object is the world itself. So if we were to set our X location to 1 meter, then we've moved our object to be at exactly 1 meter along our X axis. Or to put it another way, 1 meter away from the world origin, which is at 0, 0, 0. But we can actually change where that reference point is, and it doesn't have to be the center of the world. We can also use other objects as the reference point. So let's do that. Let's add a cube. I'll hit Shift-A and add a cube. and move it backwards along the x-axis, just so it's off to the side a little bit. Then I can select my monkey here, and now I want to choose the cube as the monkey's reference point instead of the center of the world. Well, I can do that under the Relations panel, under the Transform panel in the Object Properties. So I'll expand that, and where it says Parent, I can just choose the cube. I'll choose that from the drop-down list, and now you can see that the monkey has jumped over and attached itself to the cube. If I set the monkey's Y location and Z location to 0, now instead of our monkey being at 1, 0, 0 in comparison to the center of the world, it's at 1, 0, 0 compared to the center of the cube. This means, and I'll move my monkey out of the way a little bit, that means if we select our cube and we move it around, I'll just hit G and use our hotkey here, wherever we move our cube, our monkey's going to follow. But according to Blender, our monkey hasn't moved at all. If we select it, we can see that it's still set to, well in this case I'll just type in 3 here, 3, 0, 0, and wherever I move my cube, it's going to stay right there at 3, 0, 0. That's because we set the cube as the monkey's reference point, or in other words, its parent. So we call any object that's the reference point for any other object a parent. And we call an object a child when its reference point is anything other than the center of the world. So now just play around with this a little bit. You can move your monkey around or rotate it or scale it however you'd like, and it's not going to affect the cube or the parent at all. However, if we take our cube and move that around, the monkey will always follow exactly. We can also rotate it or scale it up or down, and the monkey will always be stuck in comparison. You may have also noticed that our monkey has disappeared from our outliner, but it's actually just been put underneath the cube. So we need to expand the cube line here, and underneath we can see the mesh data, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but now we can also see our Suzanne object. So we can use the outliner to see the hierarchy of our scene and what's parented to what. We'll also get this little dashed line indicator showing that these two objects are connected, though unfortunately it doesn't show the direction of the connection. Now let's go back to the Relations panel and click the little X button next to the parent input. That's going to clear the parent, and the monkey's going to jump right back down to where it was in the world. You can see again that the location or the rotation hasn't changed at all, it's just now referencing the center of the world instead of the cube. It's also now listed outside of the cube object in the outliner. All that jumping around though can be a little bit confusing, especially when you're just trying to place an object and stick it to something else. That's why when we set our parent in the 3D view instead, things won't jump around. It'll just change the location, rotation, and scale for us, such that it visually matches what we had before. So I'll go ahead and clear the rotation for both our monkey and our cube here. I'll hit Alt-R to clear that rotation. Same thing for our cube here, Alt-R. And now let's say I want to place the monkey on top of the cube and then make the cube the parent. Well, I'll just hit G and move this on top of the cube. And remember, we don't want this to jump anywhere as soon as we parent. So what we'll do is use the 3D view menu instead. I'll go to Object and Parent and Object. But right now, we're not going to get any good result because we don't have any other objects selected. Really, we need to make the parent object the active one. Remember, there's a difference between selected and active objects. Any selected object is going to be highlighted in orange, and we can use Shift to select multiple objects. I'll just select all of these. And you'll notice that they're highlighted slightly differently. All of them except the last selected one are this slightly duller orange, while the active object is a brighter orange. The difference is a little bit more clear in the outliner here, where it's highlighted with a darker blue if it's selected, and a lighter blue if it's active. We can see that selected and active objects are totally different things if we deselect everything. I'll hit Alt-A to deselect everything, or we could also go to Select and None in the menu. And now you can see that absolutely nothing is selected, but our camera is still our active object. It's not highlighted in blue anymore in the outliner because it's not technically selected, but its icon does have a little box around it. If I were to now select everything with A, then everything becomes selected again, but the active object didn't change. So with that idea in mind of the difference between selected and active objects, let's parent the monkey to the cube. For that, we need the monkey to be selected, of course, but we want the cube to be the active object. So I'll select the monkey first, and then Shift select the cube to make it selected and the active one. Then I'll go to the Object menu, Parent, and just choose Object. Now luckily nothing jumped around visually, but if we select the monkey, we can see that the location has indeed changed. Now when we select the cube and move it around, our monkey follows along. However we rotate this or scale it, it'll just be stuck right to the surface. If we want to remove that connection without anything jumping around, then we can just clear the parent in the 3D view. I'll select the monkey because that's the child that we want to not have any parent anymore. And we can go to Object, Parent, and Clear Parent and Keep Transformation. That'll keep the monkey exactly where it is. If I hit Ctrl-Z and undo that, and just clear the parent, Object, Parent, and Clear Parent, then you can see that it keeps the exact same transformation, but now it's just in relation to the world. I'll go ahead and hit Ctrl-Z and undo that, and again go to Object, Parent, and Clear Parent and Keep Transformation, or we could just use the hotkey Alt-P or Control-P for parenting something. So to unparent, I'll hit Alt-P to bring up the Clear Parent menu, and just choose Clear Parent and Keep Transformation. Now if I move the cube, it's not connected to the monkey at all. If I wanted to reparent something, then I can use the hotkey Shift-P. First I'll select the monkey, then I'll select the cube to make it selected and the active object. Control-P, set parent to object, keep transform. We can also change an object's parent directly in the outliner. First we need to select the object that we want to change. In this case, I want to change Suzanne. And if we click and drag, it's going to try to move Suzanne between collections. I have to click and drag on the name itself. And we'll talk about collections in a little bit, and that's not what we want to do here. So instead I'm going to hold Shift and then click and drag, and that's how I can set or clear a parent. So if I keep holding Shift and I just drag this outside of the cube object and let go, then that's going to clear the parent. If I want to create that parent-child relationship with any object, then I just need to hold Shift, left click and drag, and this time let's say we want to parent it to the light instead. Well, I'll just drag it over the light and then let go. Now Suzanne is parented to that light. The idea of parenting can definitely take some time to get used to, so don't worry if it doesn't click immediately. But do try it out, and if you want to give yourself a little bit of a challenge, try to make a stack of cubes where the bottom always moves the cubes above it, but never the cubes below it. Here's what that would look like. If we move the bottom cube, it moves everything. If we move the one above it, then it moves the cubes above that, but it doesn't move the one below it. Same thing with this one, it'll move the cube above, but not the ones below. And same thing with the top. If we change this one in any way, it doesn't affect the others, but just this one, because it's the end of the chain. This can be pretty fun to play around with, because not only does it influence the location, but also the rotation and scale as well. So go ahead and try this out if you'd like. Again, we'll come back to this idea in much more depth in later courses, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. But go ahead and give it a try, as well as moving, rotating, and scaling objects along their local axes rather than just their global ones. And then once you practice that, head on to the next lesson.